Welcome to our next video vocabulary lesson. This one we're going to explore the changing earth. We're going to look at the way the earth changes, why it changes, and what it might change into. What will you need for this? Of course, you'll need your blue science folder for your Instagrams, your composition book, a pencil, and that positive attitude that always gets us through. A quick review now. Remember, your Instagrams are your word in the middle. Then you'll have 4 sections. You'll have your definition. You'll have your picture. You'll have your hashtag. And you'll have a good 4th grade sentence that makes sense with the word. Let's move on now. Look at our essential questions. Our essential questions for this unit are: 1. What natural processes change the Earth's surface? Our next one is: how are 3 different types of rocks formed? And the third one is: how do rocks change from one type to another? As we go through our vocabulary words, be thinking about these questions and we'll answer them at the end of this video. Let's start with our vocabulary words now. Our first word is erosion. Erosion is actually the carrying away of weathered rock particles. It's when wind, rain, or other things carry it away from the thing. It's not the breaking down, it's carrying it away. Our next word is fossil. As you can see in our picture, this appears to be a fish, but you need to remember this is not the actual animal. This is just an imprint of the animal left in a rock from pressure over the years. And again, a fossil is evidence of an organism that lived in the past. Let's start looking at the different types of rocks now. The first type of rock we're going to look at is igneous rock. Igneous rock is fire-made rock, and it is formed from melted rock material. That's right, these rocks actually become liquid, and then once they cool, they become the type of rocks we have. One thing you'll notice about igneous rocks are that they have very small grains because they cool so quickly. Our next type of rock is metamorphic rock. Of course, to morph means to change. So these rocks have been changed by heat and pressure. And as you can see, it takes place over time, and the grains are much larger in these rocks than they are in the igneous rocks. Our third type of rock is sedimentary rock. That is rock formed from bits or layers of rock cemented together. As you can clearly see in the picture, there are different layers of these rocks, and this is different dirt or rock particles or bits that have piled up on top of each other and been pressed together over the years from the weight of the rocks above them. Sedimentary rocks. Weathering is the process that causes rocks to crumble, crack, or break. Do not confuse weathering with erosion. Weathering is just what causes it to break apart. Such as you can see in our picture here, these weathering pits are where water has dripped into the rock and washed away parts of it or caused it to break. This can also be caused by water getting into the cracks of rocks, the weather turning cold and it freezing and breaking the rocks apart. Our next word is deposition. Deposition, as you can see, has the word deposit in it, and that's because the laying down of sediment carried by wind, water, or ice. If you look at our picture, you can see where there's been sediment carried down the river and deposited at the end of the river. This can end up in the long run creating islands or deltas at the end of rivers. You can see a big Mississippi Delta if you look at that part of the river. Alright, that's our vocabulary words. Now let's look at our essential questions and see if we can answer those. Our first essential question: what natural process changes the Earth's surface? And as we talked about, our 3 vocabulary words: weathering, which is the breaking apart of the rocks; erosion, which is the carrying away of particles; and deposition, which is when those particles are deposited in a different area. Our next question is: how are 3 different types of rocks formed? And as we said again in our vocabulary, igneous rocks are formed by fire melting rocks, and then that rock cooling and becoming a different rock. Metamorphic rock is formed by heat and pressure over time. And sedimentary rock is formed by layers building on top of each other. How do rocks change from one type to another? Rocks go through the rock cycle and are changed by different levels of heat and pressure. Like we said with the water cycle, there is no beginning or end to this cycle. It is a continuous thing that happens over and over again. Where igneous rock may break apart and become sedimentary rock, and then that'll get pressed down further into the core and it'll get heated up and pressure, and that'll become metamorphic rock, which will eventually melt and turn into magma, which comes out of the volcano and turns into igneous rock. This can start in any place, so we'll discuss the rock cycle in detail in class. All right, that's our rock vocabulary. We're going to spend a lot of time on these. We're going to do a lot of hunting for rocks. We're going to do a lot of things. Get your Instagrams taken care of. Have them ready to bring to class so we can do our flashcards and study these. And remember, as we go through this unit, to rock on.